Welcome to Storytime with Killian Flynn. Today's story is The Silent Town, an action horror thriller by Killian Flynn. The town of Raven Creek wasn't on any map. It had no recorded history, no population census, and no trace of human life. Yet somehow it existed, and people kept disappearing into it. Riley Carter, a seasoned investigative journalist, had spent years chasing urban legends. But this one was different. Every few years, a traveler would vanish along Highway 16, and the last known location always pointed to Raven Creek. But when law enforcement went looking, there was nothing. No town, no roads leading to it. Just an empty field where it was supposed to be. But Riley had seen it. Through grainy photographs, through the shaky, terrified voice recordings of a trucker who swore he had driven through it. The images always showed the same thing, a ghost town frozen in time. Tonight, Riley would find out for herself. She drove past the last marked town on Highway 16, gripping the wheel. Her heart pounded as she scanned the horizon, looking for any sign of Raven Creek. Then, the radio went silent. The engine stuttered, headlights flickering. And suddenly, it was there. Buildings materialized out of the darkness. A church, a gas station, a row of lifeless houses. A neon sign flickered ahead. Welcome to Raven Creek. Riley's stomach turned. It was real. She stepped out of the car, camera in hand. The air was dead still, thick with an unnatural silence. The town looked like it had been abandoned overnight. Cars parked at odd angles, doors left open, plates of half-eaten food sitting on diner tables. But there were no people. Her breath came faster. Where was everyone? Then she heard it, a soft tap. 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 She turned. A figure stood in the distance, watching her, not moving, not blinking, just watching. Riley's grip tightened on the camera. Hello? No response. Then the figure tilted its head. The tapping sound grew louder, and the streetlights began to go out, one by one. Something was coming. Riley's instincts screamed at her to run. She darted down the empty street, her camera flashing as she snapped frantic photos. The shadows moved behind her. The town was changing. Buildings warped, their windows stretching like screaming mouths. The asphalt cracked beneath her feet, something shifting below the surface. Then she saw them. Figures, dozens of them, emerging from the darkness. Their faces were blurred like smudged ink on paper. They didn't walk. They glided. Their whispering voices curled around her like smoke. You shouldn't be here. You were never supposed to see. Riley tripped over the curb, scrambling backward as the figures closed in. The town wasn't abandoned. It was feeding. A low hum filled the air, and Riley felt it inside her skull, a vibration that made her vision blur. She was fading. Her hands, they were turning transparent. No, 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 no. She grabbed her camera and did the only thing she could. She pressed the shutter. The flash exploded. The figures reeled back, shrieking. The town trembled, the air rippling like a broken illusion. She didn't hesitate. Riley ran for her car, heart hammering. She yanked open the door, slammed it shut, and turned the ignition. The engine roared to life. She hit the gas. The town blurred around her, the figures screaming in the rearview mirror, and then she was back on the highway. The neon sign was gone. The gas station, the church, the houses, all gone. She pulled over, gasping for breath. Her hands were solid again. She was alive. She looked at her camera, her fingers shaking as she flipped through the photos. Every image was black, except for the last one. It showed Raven Creek, but this time the figures weren't watching the town. They were watching her, and they were smiling. Thank you for listening to Storytime with Killian Flynn. If you like his stories, go ahead and read some of his books. Check out his bio, links, and description. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to this podcast.